Hey everyone, Nate Carter here with today's Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional, and today we're in Acts chapter 22. We're in the last third of the book of Acts, and it would seem on one hand that the gospel is kind of coming off the rails here, but as we look more carefully, we find that the gospel is very much on track for Jesus' plans for it to spread throughout all the world. What we have here is Paul is arrested. He's in Jerusalem, but he's asked for an opportunity to speak to the crowds. I love the fact that Paul looks for every opportunity to share the gospel. And so in the beginning of chapter 22, verse 3, Paul is addressing the crowd, and he says, I am a Jew. Okay, first of all, he connects with the people. We're in Jerusalem. He's among the Jewish people. And just like he does in so many other places, he makes a connection with the people. I am a Jew, born in Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, and I was brought up and educated here in Jerusalem under Gamaliel. So again, he's calling out a name that people might recognize. He's identifying with the home team and making a connection with them. As a student, I was carefully trained in our Jewish laws and customs. I became very zealous to honor God in everything I did, just like all of you today. Okay, continuing to make these connections with the crowd. You can imagine them kind of just leaning in and nodding and connecting with Paul. And you can almost see them whispering to each other and saying, yeah, he's one of us. I'm trained in the ways of the Jewish faith too. Yeah, I knew Gamaliel, didn't you? So he's making these wonderful connections with the people there. I kind of like it. It goes on. We skip to verse 14, and Paul's been blinded, and now he's trying to find out what the deal is with this blindness that's been inflicted on him. The man Ananias is speaking to him and says, this is verse 14, the God of our ancestors has chosen you to know his will and to see the righteous one and hear him speak. Listen to that again. The God of our ancestors, okay, our Jewish ancestors, has chosen you, Paul, to know his will and to see the righteous one, to see the Messiah and hear him speak. For you are to be his witness, telling everyone what you have seen and heard. So Ananias is connecting into Paul the fact that our historic faith is taking a critical turn that you're going to be part of. You're going to hear the Messiah speak to you. Again, Paul is sharing this all with the crowd. Paul has his testimony ready to share at all times, just like we've talked about before. And here he is. He's got the opportunity to speak. He shares the gospel with the crowds, and he's talking about how, yes, I was one of you, but I got to hear from the voice of the Messiah himself. And what did the Messiah say? What did Jesus say to him in verse 21? The Lord said to me, go, for I will send you far away to the Gentiles. Now, what happens there? Verse 22. The crowd listened until Paul said that word, Gentiles. Then they all began to shout, away with such a fellow. He isn't fit to live. So all of a sudden, all that camaraderie that Paul had gotten with the people is now instantly evaporated because he used the word Gentiles. Now, this fits with exactly what Jesus knew was going to happen. At the beginning of the book of Acts, remember what Jesus commanded the disciples. He said, you will be my witnesses here in Jerusalem, in Judea, in Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. The idea is that the gospel is going to go forth beyond the city limits, beyond the Jewish people, into the surrounding communities, and ultimately into the world, and even to the Gentiles, to those who are not of the historic family of God, but rather all people have the opportunity to respond. So unfortunately, the Jewish people don't catch that vision, the crowd that Paul's talking to. But instead, they see that's a trigger word, and they go, you know what? He said Gentiles, I'm out. And eventually, they want to stone him. They want him out of there. And so Paul doesn't win that audience. But I love that Paul, he's got his testimony ready to share. He takes the opportunity to share it. And as he does so, he speaks of the Messiah, and he shares Jesus' vision for the gospel going beyond the people of the Jewish faith, but into the Gentile community throughout the world. Unfortunately, it's not caught on. My encouragement to you today is that you would have your testimony ready to share, that you would look for opportunities to speak of your faith, not only to those who are within your community, but to the surrounding world, to whoever God may bring into your path. We reach this point of Acts, the gospel is by no means off the tracks, but is rather spreading just as God intended it to the world around us. And again, we're the grateful beneficiaries. Praise God. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.